Welcome back to the Fighters Corner podcast. This is John Gorosky, and with me is
Mike Davis.
and
Jonah Williams.
This week we did a interview with the very first WEC middleweight champion, Chris Leben. It was a great interview. The guy talked a lot. He's got a big fight coming up for the Bare Knuckle Boxing event, April 6th. Got a good, tough opponent, scrappy guy, and he gave us about like half an hour, 40 minutes or so about his life, MMA career, what led him up to boxing or bare knuckle boxing, and I will tell you this though about Chris Leben. Chris Leben is going to do well in bare knuckle boxing. He seems like he's the perfect type of athlete that will make that type of transition and find success, not in the long run, but right away. I watched a fight that he did against Phil Baroni, and then I watched like one of his last UFC fights, and just immediately within that fight, you see two different Chris Lebens. So he's going to find success. Like, I think that we didn't get a chance to ask him what weight he was fighting at. I'm assuming it's middleweight, but dude, he's going to give a lot of people problems in bare knuckle. And it's good for a dude like him because he can sort of reinvent his career a little bit in the bare knuckle boxing world. It's going to be good for him. And you know what? Other athletes like Chris Leben are going to follow suit too. I don't know. So what'd you guys think of it?
Well, he's fighting April 6th on pay-per-view. I mean, we got to include that. Sure. And when Jonah and Jon, we don't just do this show. We're also like really good friends, and we talk quite a bit. And Jonah and I, in the past, have actually talked about Chris because there's a certain sentimental attachment with Leben, with Jonah. Jonah, do you care to expand on that?
Yeah. So Chris Leben is my mother's no longer with us, but Chris was her favorite fighter. We watched the Ultimate Fighter season 1. I had a gym mate. I was training with Carlson Gracie. I was just a white belt, so he didn't really know me or anything. But Stephen Bonner was on the show. We were watching for him. But for whatever reason, my mom and I both, we just had this thing for Chris. Like, Chris was our guy. And
it's incredible how fighting brings people together, right?
It is. It really, really is. It's not like he was being, I hope the fight goes good on Saturday because I got to make it to church on Sunday. Like, he was being himself, and he was cussing. He'd get upset. He'd kick a door here and there. Talked about that a little bit. But, this interview meant a lot to me. Like, I really... I
mean, Jonah, he had a pretty crazy schedule today, and in fact, I think you were driving your car for multiple hours today in order to get here on time, and you barely made it.
I worked 14 hours today, and I started early enough that I could get here and make this interview, and I only made it by minutes.
That's good. That's good. So no, I enjoyed it. I thought it went real well. We get real deep. We don't get micro like we'd like to do. I think I like Chris Leben, but he agreed to come back.
Yeah, there was a lot more questions that I wanted to ask him. I wanted to get a little bit more interpersonal with him and a little bit more micro. Mm-hmm. We didn't get the opportunity because obviously he's got
time constraints
with fight and training and everything else. And we were very thankful that he gave us the 35 minutes that he did. But we asked him like, hey, would you mind coming back? And I think he said yeah. So
yeah, no, we are gonna go almost fight by fight with him. We're gonna talk about local scenes, regional development, and experiences with some of the studs that he worked out with in Team Quest that we had mentioned in the podcast. Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.
Before we get to our interview with Chris Leben, I want to thank our show sponsor, UCL MMA. These guys are a mixed martial arts promotion based out of Chicago, but they handle events throughout the Midwest. So if you're looking for event information, tickets, sponsorship opportunities, or even if you think you can scrap, give them a call and let them know you want to get in one of their cages so you can show the world how good or how bad you are. So reach out to UCLMMA.com for more information. Big thanks to Johnny Rehab for letting us use his music for our podcast track. He's got some amazing work that you can find online on SoundCloud, Bandcamp, and even Amazon. So who are you taking in this weekend's fights? I know who I got, and it's not who you think. So I'm going to take my picks over to the world's safest and most trusted online gambling site and make a few bets. That's right, it's BetDSI.com. With more than 20 years' experience in the online gaming industry, BetDSI has the best sign-up and deposit promotions on the web. They also boast more deposit options than any other betting site, including fast, free, and secure payouts. Also, for our listeners, they are offering a special promotion where you can build a bigger bankroll and get 100% sports cash bonus when using our promo code Fighters Corner, all one word. That's 50% more sports cash by using our promo code Fighters Corner. Check out BetDSI for all your online gaming needs.
All right, so today we have something really special, something I've been looking forward to. So a big issue in combat sports, a lot of times you feel like the guy that won the fight maybe wouldn't have won if it weren't for the rules, or, the bells say this guy. At the end of the day, you want to feel like the guy that won the fight was the guy that would have won if that fight happened in an alley, in a parking lot. It was really the toughest person in that ring. The guy who fits that category more than anybody else I know, and actually my mother's favorite MMA fighter, Chris the Crippler Leben.
Yeah, well,
what's up?
hey, Chris, I'm actually a fan of the Cat Smasher. That was your original nickname when you came on Tough One. How come you ditched that?
Well, kind of interesting. I wasn't the Cat Smasher until that first Ultimate Fighter, and apparently I got drunk and started telling everybody that I smashed cats. And Stephen Bonner kind of made it stick. So then I was the Cat Smasher. Then one day I was walking out to my fight, and Goldberg called me the Crippler, and that was that. I guess you don't pick your own nickname.
Yeah, so essentially your nickname got picked for you the entire way. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's generally the rule. You don't get to pick it, and hopefully you like it because they stick.
That's it, yeah. And once one sticks, you're stuck. You know?
So Chris, now you are somebody that you seem to be getting a little bit more polished and media savvy lately. It seems like you've got a bigger presence online than you had when you were fighting. What do you attribute that to?
Shoot, man, I don't know.
Would you agree though? Like, I mean, you're putting out stuff on YouTube. There's quite a bit written about you. I'd say right now there's more being written about Chris Leben, media-wise, than when you were fighting in the UFC.
I have noticed that there seems to be a lot of hype right now, and honestly, what I attribute it to is one, this bare knuckle thing is taking the world by storm, and two, from when I was in the UFC to now, already combat sports have grown substantially. At least that's what I was thinking. I'm like, man, there seems to be, just a bigger interest, more mainstream media is grabbing a hold of this stuff. Guys that weren't reporting on it before, now they are.
That's good. That's good. Now, how has the transition been? Where are you working out at now to train for this bout?
I'm at the Arena, which is a gym in San Diego. I've actually been coaching and training at the Arena now for, going on 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Really phenomenal gym. It's like a family to me. I've got great coaches, big gym. It's a great place.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Now, do you have a specific boxing trainer that is kind of working with you?
Well, I have two coaches that really I focus on striking with. First, we have a big boxing program, but the two coaches that I've been working with mainly for this fight are Charles Martinez and Vince. I should probably know Vince's last name.
Vince from the gym.
They coach our MMA team. Both of them have been fighting for a long time, and both of them are very progressive with their form of stand-up. A lot of switching leads, a lot of angles. A lot of stuff that I didn't used to do. I've really focused on cleaning up my striking game the last couple of years. So hopefully, when I come next weekend, when I get out there, I'll be able to showcase some of these new skills.
Yeah, no, that's good. Now, this is your second bare knuckle bout, and your first bare knuckle bout had, it made the news quite a bit, I think we could say. Could you give us your experience with with the circus that kind of surrounded your first fight?
Oh man, it was rough. Gosh, I want to talk about it, but I certainly don't want people to confuse these two organizations.
No. Yeah, no, definitely
so
not.
BKFC, so everybody knows, they're phenomenal.
They have
great. This is their fifth show that I'm going to be competing on next weekend. And then there was this other organization. They had one show only. They brought in Boss Rutan as the president. There was, before Boss came in, though, there was warning signs. They kept popping up. I should have sensed something wasn't right, and then, once Boss came on board, I'd known him for a long time, that kind of set my mind at ease, so, I decided, even though some of the other fighters were pulling out, guys were like, you know what, I'm not doing it. I don't know. This is too sketchy. You know what? I was like, in my mind, I was like, look, I just trained for 2 months. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't fought in years. My health is back. and I thought Baroni was a great opponent. Love the way he fights. I always wanted to fight him. So, I decided to stay on board. Ultimately, there's two sides to the coin. One, training camp was great. The fight went phenomenal. Let me know that, hey, I can still do this. I can still go out and compete at a high level. Obviously after having a few years off where, I was sparring every day. I was training every day. But, it had been a few years. So
well, you looked really composed in that bout. Like you really did.
Yeah, and your style translated really well to bare knuckle.
I agree.
I think, honestly, initially when I first got called about bare knuckle, I was like, you know what, I'm retired. And then I went on YouTube and I started looking at it. I was like, man, this freaking sport is like tailor-made for the way that I fight.
Dude, we were actually talking about that a couple weeks ago. We're like, if there's one fighter that could make the transition, with like your shoulder rolls and staying in the pocket and your commitment to the actual exchange, Chris, we honestly think you could actually go pretty far in this sport. It's kind of exciting.
Well, thanks. I hope so. And now that I've been just solely dedicating and focusing to just the hands, I feel like I feel great. I'm in phenomenal shape. I don't have those other issues that I had when I was in the UFC. I don't have those things weighing on my training and bothering me. All I do is eat, sleep, teach, train, and come home, spend time with my family. And I think it's a great recipe for me, probably a bad recipe for my opponents.
Yeah, I bet. So when I was researching for this, I went online and I saw some of the things you were saying about your health, and also that you're a father now. Congratulations for that, and congratulations on beating that heart condition. Is that something you'd like to talk about, or is that more a personal thing?
Yeah, no, I'm wide open about it.
Yeah, was it like a rock star type lifestyle that you were living, or was it something that was genetic?
Yeah, everything in excess, nothing in moderation. That was kind of like my mantra. Yeah. Go fast, kick ass, chug beers, crank tunes. That was the old Chris Leben, man. That's and I did it well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can't burn the candle from both ends. Not that hard, not for that long. So, I ended up 2 years back, I was going to sign with Bellator, went to do my medicals, and then the doctor said, hey, you've got a failing heart, your ejection fraction is all super low, you may need a transplant or at least a pacemaker.
Holy cow.
Just like really bummer news, and meanwhile, I couldn't figure out why my cardio wasn't picking up. And training for 3 hours, I was like, man, this age thing is really getting to me. So I had no clue, and luckily, because of the pre-fight medicals, it did get spotted. And from what I understand is a lot of people, it just doesn't get spotted until it's too late.
It's too late. Yeah.
I was already at that time revamping my life, new relationship, I had quit drinking. I quit doing everything else. So one, I continue to stay on that path. Two, I added in, my boss at the arena, actually, funny story, his dog ended up having a heart condition, same as mine.
Wow.
And this guy's like one of these crazy dog lovers,
Yeah.
So he did like thousands of hours of research on, exactly what supplements
Oh,
you
God.
need to take to
That's
counteract
crazy.
So you actually got this information because he needed it to save his dog.
Yes, I don't think I ever shared this, but yes.
That is amazing. I love that, dude. That is
he was
amazing.
giving his dog like 100 supplements a day. Long story short, the veterinarian was blown away. The veterinarian has never seen
So essentially,
recovery in a dog.
Yeah, so essentially went over to his house and just raided his dog food cabinet. Is that what happened?
Well, I mean, so he actually, went out. We went and had lunch. Me, my girlfriend, him. He sat down. He wrote out a huge curriculum or protocol, I guess you'd say, protocol of these different supplements to take for my heart. I take hawthorn berry, raw garlic, raw cayenne, milk thistle powder, all just natural, natural supplements.
All health food store stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's a little weird. You got to order it from some Chinese medicine shop or something. But whatever, man. It's same story. My cardiologist, every time I went back said, "Wow, I don't know what you're doing, but just keep doing it." And to the point she's like, we've never really seen a recovery quite like this. And then, the last time I went in, she said, "Well, we would expect somebody with your condition to kind of, to bring it up. That's great, but then have plateaued." She said, "Yours is progressively still getting better." So
Wow.
It went from being, extremely subpar, like maybe you need a new heart subpar, all the way up to, hey, you're good. You are considered a healthy adult. You're a healthy male in your age bracket. Your heart is not weak for your age. My left ventricle was oversized, misshapen, not pumping correctly.
Oh, wow.
All those things, it's normal size now. My ejection fraction is great.
Are you sober now?
I am sober, yeah.
100% sober? Are you like Hollywood clean or like clean?
I'm fully in recovery. Let's
Good
put it
for
this
you.
way. My two biggest sponsors are Recovery here in San Diego. So, a lot of my spare time goes deals with that. I work with one group. I help a lot of the guys out there. I work with others. I'm doing the deal.
That makes you feel good, doesn't it?
It does. Well, one, it's keeping me alive, and physically there's that. That's important. But yeah, mentally, I've never been in a place like I am now. Like, having a job and a child and everything I have a pretty labor intensive life, when you pack training on top of that, but ultimately, I'm comfortable. I love my family. I love my job. I make enough money. Things sometimes can be rough. I can have some hard days, but nothing like the bad days I used to have. You know.
Yeah, especially like that first season of The Ultimate Fighter, it man, dude, like you bared your soul in that. Whether somebody liked you or they didn't like you, you were 100% being real, in front of the camera. You were the same person off the camera as you were on the camera. And there appeared to be a little bit of pain. And, I haven't had a sip of alcohol since I was 18. And it's much better. Like I feel so much better about myself, as well as, when I run into other people that are also sober. It's just always, kind of like a little tip of the hat. Like, yeah, me too, man. It's kind of better this way. So, hey, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
All right, now, you came up under Team Quest, and you worked out. I mean, dude, imagine this room right here. You've got Randy Couture, Chael Sonnen, Dan Henderson, Matt Lindland, Evan Tanner, and those are just like when you walk in, those are the guys you're going to have goes against every single time you go to the gym. I can't even imagine sticking around there. Like, it's one of those places, I'm just going to sit and watch. How intense were those rooms back in the day?
We didn't know what we were doing. I mean, you had, Olympic level wrestlers, making that transition to MMA, and Matt and Randy and Dan, they were super high wrestlers, and they jumped straight into the UFC, or Pride. That's where their career started at the highest level. So I don't know if you've ever been to a wrestling practice, but the way you run a wrestling practice is 100%. So we used to run our MMA fight practice with 4-ounce gloves.
Oh, just full go. No thanks. I'll just watch from the sidelines, guys.
The only 4-ounce gloves we could get were the Billy Bangs gloves. You had to cut the ball out of the bottom.
Yeah, you touch it, you feel your knuckles right through it.
Padding at all on those.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
how many guys got run out of that room? How many tough guys showed up over there that left after a couple hours?
Oh, several. I remember one. I remember in particular with a guy named Scott Smith. You guys remember Kansas Steel Smith?
Oh yeah, Scott Smith.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did, but I was just thinking about this because my opponent had actually fought him, and I was watching the fight as of recently. He did something to Lindland because Lindland ran him left, right, so all the way across the room. So he fell down in the corner, and then Lindland started stomping on his head.
Wow.
And then the next day I saw him at the airport.
Wow.
But that wasn't that wasn't the only case. There was definitely, especially as we started to get some notoriety, you got these guys that wanted to show up and be part of that super team or whatever, and they might have been there because they thought it was the cool spot to be. But there was nothing that cool about a lot of those practices.
No,
they were rugged.
Yeah, I can imagine they can be real grueling. Chris, before we transition over to more of your bare knuckle bout coming up, I wanted to ask you one last question. Going back to your early UFC days, I have a match in mind that I'll always remember Chris Leben by, and I'm curious to know if it's the same one that you're thinking. Chris, tell me which one of your matches in the UFC you're most proud of.
I probably can guess the one you're going to say, but
it was the night I became a fan of Chris Leben. I'm telling you that right now.
Was it Terry Martin? Was that the one?
Here's the thing about Terry Martin. Yeah, you're 100% correct. All right, so your former gym mate.
People always want to say, they go, God, I don't know how you could take all those punches. You take that, and I'm like, well, I guess they're trying to compliment me by saying that because, I'm always like, I do try to dodge some of them, actually. But sometimes it can be a little rough being the guy whose name is built on being able to take shots.
Yeah, especially the way you did that night. So, Chris, real quick, for our listeners who are not familiar with that bout, give me a quick summary on what happened at the end of that fight. I want to hear it out of your mouth.
Well, Terry Martin, all by third round, he was probably winning, on the cards. It was a pretty rough fight up until then, but in third, I mean, he had me out on my feet. And then, he landed a huge shot that actually stumbled me backward, like popped my head like a Pez dispenser. Yeah. And I ended up bouncing off the cage, at which point he thought for sure he had the fight won. So he decided to celebrate a little bit. I don't remember. I can only tell you this because I've watched the fight since, I had one punch left in me, and as I was falling forward, I winged it, and his hands weren't up. So, that was that was the end of that one.
When I heard you talk about the heart disease on YouTube, I was thinking he did to heart disease what he did to Terry Martin. He was supposed to be out. He was on his heels, and he knocked the hell out of it, dude. Like that. That was the weird little connection I made in my head.
Yeah, and to kind of make it to make things come full circle, I was actually a judge the night that your stablemate Chael Sonnen fought Terry Martin here locally with the XFO, and in between the first and second round, I know Chael, man, he's got a lot to say about that event.
Okay.
But I know Chael took like a body shot at the end of the first or second. I think at the end of the first round, and it affected him. So it was kind of like nice seeing you kind of avenge the loss of a teammate. So now, on your bout with bare knuckle boxing.
Chris, tell us who your opponent is.
My opponent is his name is Justin Baseman. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Tough guy. I watched a bunch of tape on him. He fought in Bellator.
He's seasoned for sure.
Scott Smith. He fought several other high level guys. He beginning of his career, he was looking really good. This last part of his career probably hasn't been the hottest. But watching tape on him, I mean, the guy, he's a slugger, and I think that also bare knuckles kind of cut out for the way that he fights.
Yeah, I think so too.
So what are you gonna do? You gonna stay in the pocket? What is your strategy going into the fight?
I'm gonna try to punch him in the face, and then not get hit in my face.
I like it.
No, but seriously, I think having watched tape on him, the best thing that I can do is to go out there and outbox him. Go out there and, be a little bit patient, I mean, very rarely has anybody ever called me a boring fighter, so I don't think I need to worry about that. I'm sure the knockout will come, if I'm patient. I just don't want to go charging.
Yeah, force
straight forward, and get hit with something that was unneeded.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, you can bull rush somebody, but you have to set that bull rush up for it to be effective. Like, you just can't just go out there and charge.
There you go.
Yeah.
Chris, how hard was it not to sprawl when you were fighting Phil Baroni? I mean, it seemed like it was like takedown attempt after takedown attempt after takedown attempt.
The funny thing is the guy shot 2 takedowns his whole life, and one of them was in a boxing match.
Yeah, and you know what, man? He looked like he was gassed.
Anybody that's watched that guy fight MMA doesn't think, he's going to go for a takedown.
No, Phil.
No,
I mean,
honestly,
let's give Phil credit where credit's due. That guy's hands are really good.
They are. I think boxing is where he shines for sure. He's known as a boxer having fast hands.
I don't know what he was thinking. And he was trying to get these takedowns, and then he was huffing and puffing after a minute. So now he's going for takedowns. He's holding his breath while he's doing it, and the maturity and composure that you showed in there, I was it kind of made me do a double take. I'm like, man, this isn't the Leben of old. The Leben of old would have been, Jon, talking all types of crazy stuff and inserting yourself where you probably shouldn't, do it in a physical or mental level. And instead, you stayed composed, you relaxed, and, you waited for the knockout and you got it.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, Baroni. At first, I was probably giving him a little too much credit because, people going, "What was Baroni thinking?" And I said, "Well, maybe he thought since I'm an MMA guy, if he drops it, he's going to do a takedown. When I put to defend it, he'd pop up and land a hook or something, So I thought maybe it was a setup to get me to drop my hands." But, I ended up talking to him, on Instagram. He messaged me. And it's hard to see in the video, but on that first exchange, right as he comes forward, I land an uppercut, real tight uppercut. And he said that he was kind of punch drunk from then out. So he was just trying to keep his feet underneath him.
So, Chris, what are you looking forward to in Bare Knuckle? I know you got an opponent that's going to test you coming up.
Yeah, you got April 6th. That's in
Mississippi.
Yeah, it's
We're
in
probably
Biloxi.
going to be there in the crowd behind Arnold Adams if you can see us, that giant figure that he is. But Chris, tell us what you're looking forward to in your career with Bare Knuckle with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Being able to come back and compete again, I'm a little bit older now. Ultimately, I'm embracing the whole thing. I'm embracing the training camp, that I'm healthy enough to train and being fit and going in the gym and being able to go in there and hang with the 20-year-olds. And last, going, even though the other show didn't work out great, to be able to go and be a fighter again, travel, be with my coaches, stay in the hotel, be at the event, make weight. I'm excited for all that stuff, and then ultimately I'm excited to go out and showcase, my skills, and what I've learned, the new skills I picked up at my gym, the arena, and, ultimately get to do all that stuff I love and then bring a paycheck home to my family for it.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. And you seem to be transitioning well. We'll like I said, we'll probably be there in attendance, so we'll introduce ourselves in person. All right, so your experience on The Ultimate Fighter, season 1, what was the notoriety like coming out of that show, and were you prepared for it? Because it seemed like it was crazy.
I remember Dana White telling a story, and he was saying, I was telling Dana, it'd be great if somebody would buy me a beer at a bar when I'm back home in Portland after the show. I mean, we really, that first season, we didn't even know if it was going to make it on TV, and I went from that to as soon as that show aired, all of a sudden I couldn't go to the shopping mall. I couldn't go anywhere.
Wow.
Without people recognizing me. Every time I tried to go to any bar, every drunk guy that knew everything about fighting wanted to buy me a beer and tell me about all the stuff he knows about it and what I should do and how I could have done this and that. So, I mean, there was definitely some pluses and minuses there. But the recognition we got from the show and how big of a hit that first season was, I mean, I think it surpassed everybody's expectations.
Well, I agree.
Yeah. Now, have you kept in touch with anybody from the season? From that season?
Yeah. I saw Stephen Bonner just a week or two ago.
He's out in Vegas.
He was out here in San Diego a couple times. I did a seminar recently up at Sam Hoger's gym in LA. He's got a little spot in Hollywood. He started to train some guys up there. I went up there. Stephen came out. So I see those guys. Obviously Kenny, I see Kenny here and there. So we still, a couple of the guys I saw Diego, and then a couple months ago we actually did a reunion special. So I got to see pretty much. I saw everybody. The only guy that wasn't there was Josh Koscheck.
Oh, I'm sure you missed him.
But yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't think anybody did. So
yeah, he kind of upset. So I grew up in a single family home too, and a single mother home too. Like that interaction, it was just a moment. And you guys are kids and whatever, and I'm 40 and I shouldn't be thinking about it from 20 years ago. But that moment, that was the moment when the world really realized that this guy who's supposed to be the bad guy, who's cussing and all, he's actually a good guy. You know what I mean? Like
It was a heel turn. It was like a classic pro wrestling heel turn.
That's a crazy moment in my life to have on TV.
Yeah.
You know what though, Chris? It was, to be honest with you, it was raw and honest. And I mean, the relationships that you have in life, whether they're physical or emotional, are raw and honest. And for anybody not to, or to look down at you for it, or for anybody to kind of besmirch you for it, they're so full of shit. Because, I mean, you gave us who you were with real life consequences for actions that you experienced, and for anybody to just completely disregard that or make fun of it, and it kind of speaks volumes of their character. So right after the first couple episodes aired, I think I went up to Ohio for an event. I saw Rich Franklin fight like on a local bout, and me and Big Papa Schnocky stopped by Josh Rafferty's house. To say that he was salty about you on the show, oh, dude, he was like, "You guys have no idea. Just wait. I can't talk about it because of the agreement I signed, but they catered to him. You should see what they do to him." Like, he was beside himself with anger. And I mean, it was fun, man. I mean, it just kind of told you that whatever happened in that house, man, it was magical, and it certainly translated to TV as well as ratings.
You know, I mean, you put a bunch of drunk 20-year-old tough guys in a house full of booze, you know, with nothing to do. I mean, that's a recipe for good TV. What can you say?
Yeah. At that time, I was just a regular, just a white belt, but I was training with Carlson Gracie, so we were all watching to see Stephan Bonner, and I had my mom watching and everything. And like I said, just from that show, like, you were just the bad guy that was just so lovable. Like, she gravitated towards your personality. Like, she's not with us anymore, but when I say that you were her favorite fighter, I am not kidding. She liked you more than she liked the sport. And when I see you walking with your daughter, with your son, your girl on the beach, you're this family guy, you're this grown up, and you're this ambassador of the sport. It's obvious what she saw in you back then. Dude, I'm so glad that you stuck around in the sport, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, you know, I suppose everything happens for a reason, you know, so you know, I kind of look back and I go, I wouldn't change anything, you know. Did I make a lot of mistakes? Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes, you know. Would I handle stuff differently now? Absolutely, I would. But, you know, I feel like now, you know, with a lot of the younger guys in the gym, people on social media reach out to me all the time with their issues or their problems, and I try to genuinely, you know, point them in the right direction as best I can, you know, and so, you know, I look at it and I go, if it wasn't for all that, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. I wouldn't appreciate the simple life that I have now, you know, so.
I will actually, Chris, if you don't mind me interrupting, I'll even further that. Like, sometimes in life, you get dealt a hand, and it's very easy to continue to deal that same hand over and over and over because it's kind of what you know. Essentially, what you're doing is you're breaking the cycle. You know, you're giving the people that you care about an opportunity and experiences that you yourself never had. And it's a sign of maturity as well as growth. And I think in life, you know, that's, at the end of the day, that's what we want. You know, we want to grow and learn from our mistakes and not repeat mistakes of others. What's it like being around your son now? I mean, is it, I mean, how much, what kind of experience is that for you both mentally and physically?
Well, you know, he's the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. You know, definitely, you know, there's a lot more stress in life. Obviously, I have a lot more to worry about. I always have to think about, you know, how he's doing, providing for him, you know. But, you know, nowadays, at least I have a reason to be responsible. You know, I have something that makes me want to do the right thing. You know, before I used to just, you know, I had myself and I was only worried about myself. I didn't really care. You know, now between my son and his mother. I have people to provide for. I have people that care about me, and it makes me want to be a better person.
That's good, man. That's excellent. That's excellent. Okay, well, I mean, Chris, I know we only got 30 minutes with you, so we might as well plug the event. It's Saturday, April 6th. It's in Biloxi. It's on pay-per-view. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship 5. Do you have any closing statements?
No, just thanks for having me, guys. It was a great interview. You guys definitely touched on some different bases than the average one, so I appreciate
Chris,
that.
I got one more thing. All right, so I've been to a lot of college parties. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm from the south side of Chicago. I have seen a lot of fucked up things happen when people drink. I have never seen anybody smash a door like you. Like, when I saw somebody punch a door, I remember, like, calling my buddies, like, holy fuck, did you just see what Leben just did? I go, like, fuck the fights, fuck the UFC, fuck all that. Did you see what he did to that door? Like, I remember, like, watching that shit, calling my dad down. Hey, Dad, I got to show you something. This guy just smashes the door. And my dad's, like, scratching his head. My dad he grew up in a rough area, too. He's just, like, looking at me like, I don't know, man. It looks like a Hollywood door. I'm not sure what that means, but there's no fucking way anybody can do that to a door.
Well, if it helps, I'm only 1-1 with doors. The plate glass front door, I think it got the better end of the deal.
No, dude, we're a
That's
fan.
awesome.
And Chris, when you have time, I'd like to go step by step with you about your career and stuff like that, and just do an extended interview, stories. I'd like to really kind of dig deep into you. Like I said, I know we're kind of limited. You got to fight, you got to train, and stuff like that. But we're big fans of you. In fact, we always we always come up with like different topics and stuff. And we had said like the Conor McGregors before Conor McGregor. Let's come up with a list of guys, and you're always at the top of the list. Like if the UFC were smart, they would have just given you a microphone and just walked away, and whatever came out, and it is what it is.
Dude, thank you so much for talking to us.
And I'd love to come back on and chat for a while sometime soon. Definitely after the fight, let's do it.
Yeah, definitely after the fight. Let's see if we can set aside maybe about an hour and a half, where we just pick your brain.
WEC days.
Oh yeah. And by the way, Chris Leben, the first WEC middleweight champion.
Absolutely.
So awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, for giving us your time. I appreciate it. Good luck with the event. Stay healthy, and knock them out, man. All right. Good luck.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you later.